Welcome to the Emotionally Intelligent Entrepreneur podcast. I'm your host, Alen Leit, a personal development coach dedicated to empowering your entrepreneurial journey. This podcast is your go-to resource for personal development tailored specifically for entrepreneurs. In this episode, it is all for the entrepreneurs out there that are actively working on self-improvement and development. And through the years of working with clients, I have put together a list of potential development focus points that are often missed and overlooked by entrepreneurs, and created an evaluation workbook that you can see on the video. So the focus points that are in this workbook can greatly enhance your emotional intelligence, communication skills, relationships, and overall satisfaction with life. And the key idea behind the evaluation is that self-mastery contains a really large array of competencies that we develop through life. And I invite you to evaluate your current level of self-mastery in the offered domains and reflect and rate the statements within the document. And you can find the document in the description of the episode. So I can definitely say one thing, that within this process, it will be pretty demanding and it can take you into uncomfortable questions. So for those that truly seek to dive deeper into their self-discovery, this is a great opportunity. So within the document, I offer to look at 3 domains for personal growth potential. So we have the cognitive domain, which looks at the processes of the mind. We have the emotional intelligence domain that is looking at self-regulation and relationships. And we have the behavioral domain, where it is about the impact of your actions. So in this episode, I will guide you through each point one by one, helping you to uncover as aligned and as truthful answers as possible to you. And if you need to get the workbook and you haven't yet, pause the episode, download the evaluation workbook in the description to the episode, and then let's dive in. So the first domain is the cognitive growth potential domain. And within this domain, we are looking at the processes within the mind and how it works and the key aspects to be aware of. And we start off with the perspectives connected to self-awareness. Now, the first statement looks at being skilled at catching yourself having automatic thoughts in stressful and triggering situations. So the key idea here is that every, let's say, quote unquote, negative reaction to a situation in life has a story and a projection attached to it within your mind. And to effectively grow in life, you need to uncover the underlying storytelling and projections that you have onto this situation and then transform them. And around dealing with stressful and triggering situations, this skill is like one of the most fundamental things to learn in life to successfully grow and progress. And we'll be dedicating the next episode to fully overviewing this topic of dealing with stress and triggering situations in greater detail. So here, rate your current capacity to catch what kind of stories and projections are you telling yourself in these quote-unquote negative situations from 1 till 10. The second statement is about you having the capacity to precisely formulate your talents, needs, and growth zones. So this is about being aware not only of your hard and soft skills, but it's also about understanding your personality and how it is driving these 3 aspects, 3 domains of your life: the cognitive, the emotional intelligence, and the behavioral. So here, evaluate from 1 till 10, have you done any focused self-discovery work to understand your personality better? Statement 3 is I know my key motivations in life, what is important to me personally. So the key motivations we can think of, like, or from the top of my mind, people think about money, fame, safety, family, well-being, and so on. All of which can definitely drive us into taking action and growing and being more. Yet there are unconscious motivations that drive our interactions with people, and they play a big role in our decision making. So here, rate from 1 till 10, have you explored this unconscious motivational aspect of your life? Statement number 4. I know my unconscious behavioral patterns at work. So here we approach, it is about how we approach planning, execution, collaboration. And it's heavily impacted by our personality tendencies that we are, most cases, blind to. Blind to meaning that it is so just natural to us that our mind doesn't focus any attention or resources to catch that thing in action. So this is accompanied by a desire for others to be just like us, and them to meet the same expectations that we have towards ourselves, which has a really detrimental effect on our collaboration with partners and our team. Now here, rate from 1 to 10, how well have you focused on identifying and overcoming the patterns that are negatively impacting your business? Number 5 is about knowing how you influence people and how they influence you. So this goes tightly in line with the previous point. We are constantly being conditioned and are conditioning the people around us, and sometimes in empowering ways and sometimes in negative ways. And knowing these dynamics in your team, in your partnership, in your family, can have a genuine impact on the performance, on mutual understanding, and the bottom line of your business. So here, rate from 1 till 10, how well aware are you of how you impact your team and how they impact you? Statement number 6 is about having balanced self-worth. So self-worth is a measure of how much do we value ourselves to perform, to provide value, and to lead people and processes. There are many more components, but these are the ones that I want to pinpoint here. And having high self-worth can create a massive blind spot where you are unaware of your unconscious incompetence. And having too low self-worth can hold you back from sharing your talents and gifts with your clients, leading them to miss out on working with you and you missing out on the remuneration that comes along with providing value that you really can deliver but are holding back. So here, rate from 1 till 10, where do you think your self-worth is now? Is it low? Or is it really, really high? Meaning that low unbalanced and really, really high is highly balanced. Statement number 7 is about I'm able to realistically differentiate my own areas of personal responsibilities from those of others, both in positive and negative situations. So here, this is a really big topic. And certain personality types especially struggle with certain aspects of taking responsibility for how other people feel, helping them to live their lives, trying to control and navigate how others react. And these are just, from the top of my mind, key nuances that we can encounter. Now, answer honestly. How often do you take on yourself things that should be given the freedom to others to be responsible and accountable for? So how often Do you take it on yourself? And how skilled are you at giving yourself the responsibility that is actually yours and leaving the responsibility for certain things that others should have responsibility for and accountability for to others? Rate your capacity from 1 till 10, being 1, you're incapable of doing that, and 10 is that you're really, really good at it. That leads us to the second important aspect, is self-responsibility and self-motivation. Now, here we are looking at strategies that help us move and be more resilient and persevere in life. So statement number 8 is about, in every situation, I take full responsibility for what I feel. So how we feel, especially in stressful situations, can feel like it is triggered by someone else's actions. Now, one of the skills to develop an emotional intelligence is having the capacity to identify the meanings and projections that we make onto the situation, and to take your ability to self-regulate to the next level. So the capacity to identify the meanings and projections can help you to take your self-regulation to the next level. And it is not about changing the way your surrounding is acting. It is about changing the way you interpret what is going on in that situation. So here, rate from 1 till 10, how well do you believe you're taking ownership of your own emotions? Then we have statement number 9. I take full responsibility for how I react to each situation. So here, reaction is tightly connected to what we've just looked at. Just like feelings, reactions depend on interpretation. So in the next podcast episode, I'll be really diving deep and dedicated to looking at managing stress and reactions throughout our lives. So here, try to rate how well do you believe you manage to take responsibility for your reactions, especially in stressful situations. Number 10 is about being forthcoming about your own deeper motivations behind your actions. So here, for example, I see many develop unconscious different strategies in communication to get something that they need from others. And basically every single person is doing that from the beginning, from their really, really toddler years, because it stems from the position where we were incapable of taking care of ourselves. We were fully dependent on the people around us, and we were learning how to get it from them. So these strategies are being really honed unconsciously from a really, really early age. So all of us have these unconscious patterns, strategies of how to get from others what we want. But at the same time, we hide the true objectives of what we desire behind potentially caring or taking interest in another person before really requesting what we desire from them. For example, some develop a tendency to come and request, instead of like directly requesting support and help, they first ask and take interest in what is the person doing, which can be perceived as a controlling behavior rather than actually getting you what you want, where you are requesting support and help that you actually need. Another example is why we are really doing certain things for others, like the hidden motivation behind doing something for others. So developing strategies to meet our core needs by doing something for others is a strategy that basically every single one of us has in one way or another. But here lies an underpinning belief that without doing something, we do not deserve what we actually want to get. And that leads us to perform certain behaviors towards other people that we are unconsciously so okay with on an autopilot level, because it is just a system of how we are used to living and getting what we need. So understanding the deeper motivations behind your actions with other people can be a really balancing point in life to discover. And being forthcoming is about being vulnerable and having the vulnerability to share with other people what you'd like to get from them without silent expectations. So this is another big part of it. So it's like, if you want your boundaries to be respected, you have to build a relationship where boundaries are a core part of it. If you need appreciation from others, develop a habit and politeness within the relationship to provide appreciation towards each other and build it. If you want the feeling of safety, you have to be vulnerable enough to talk about where do you feel unsafe and co-create new patterns that will make you feel safe. So here, rate from 1 till 10, how well do you feel you're capable of being vulnerable with other people about your deeper motivations? Number 11 is about, I seek to solve the problem when things go wrong rather than blaming others. A big capacity, a big skill to have. And this is about the mindset where understanding that you are co-creating every single result in your life. And your reactions and actions impact others, like others impact you. So here, rate how well do you manage to take ownership of the challenges and the problems you encounter in life, and strive to build solutions that work both for you and the other person. Number 12 is, I have an internal locus of control rather than being others directed, meaning that I do not feel victimized by other people and events. So this is about the capacity to lead your life where you find how to make things work for you personally, no matter what kind of boxes other people are trying to fit you into. And here, assess your ability to maintain your life's course despite external pressures and the situations that others try to put you into. Number 13 is, I am generous with my time and resources while taking care of myself. Here, it is about managing being there for others and taking care of yourself, which can be a big challenge for many people. And at the same time, vice versa can be also true as well, where you're really good at taking care of yourself, but find it really hard to be there for others. That happens as well, and it's normal. So here, rate your capacity of how do you manage to take care of yourself in the way that you deserve, despite all the attention the surrounding is demanding. This is a key thing, because especially when you are an entrepreneur, you have so many things that you have to juggle in your life, both your personal demands, both your relationship demands, your family, both your business, your partners, your networking. You have to be the go-to person for very, very many people. So here we're talking about, despite the pressures of expectations of what others want from you in, let's say, the relationships of your life, right? Business relationships, communication is relationships, your family is all about relationships. So despite all the external pressures, how well do you believe you're capable of being there for yourself and taking care of yourself despite that pressure? Number 14 is about knowing when you're projecting your thoughts and feelings onto other people and taking responsibility for that. And this is one of the common biases, where we're trying to read the other person's mind, when we're trying to take control of the situation based on that interpretation. So this is a big one from a lot of people, where the mind seeks to interpret and understand what is going on, and it develops patterns of perception where a behavior means a certain outcome. And it is true for us based on our experience, but what we do and what is really potentially hurting and underpinning and undermining your business is where you're projecting what is going on based on your perception of it, instead of actually seeking to understand the other person and working with that. So rate your capacity to notice that you're projecting onto the other person your personal experience and expectations, and by catching yourself having that projection, taking responsibility that this is actually happening, and then taking action to seek mutual understanding and building that together with the other person. Rate your capacity from 1 to 10. Then we move on to personal integrity, authenticity, and aligned vision. So what we have here is that among the mysteries of our conscious and unconscious mind, there are things that we can explore that can help us move to be more aligned and more authentic self. And here, the number 15 statement is, I know my authentic decision-making process. So here, each of us has their unique process of how to make decisions that would create the least friction in life and the most flow. Yet, we usually tend to focus on trying to figure out what will work for us through trying to do what other people do. And in many cases, we look at the success and the patterns of other people, but we fail to look and understand that their combination of energy, perception, and personality can be very different from yours. So copying any individual out there directly, like one-to-one, can have a really detrimental effect on your progress. So it's important to explore your authentic decision-making strategy that makes things flow for you, and then adapt your lifestyle and how you interact and make decisions in alignment with respecting that authentic decision-making strategy. So rate your capacity of how well you explored your authentic decision-making strategies that make things flow in your life. Statement 16 is about having a personal vision that is value-based and includes an understanding of what you want out of life and business. So, as you might have heard, vision keeps you on track. And if you don't have a personal focus, it will be put in place by other people. So an aligned vision demands understanding your core values, understanding your uncompromisables, and your desires in life, at least. So here, rate your capacity of how well have you aligned your current goals and plans with your values, uncompromisables, and desires from 1 till 10. Statement 17 is about you adhering to a set of core values in normal and challenging situations, so that you have an inner core belief system which helps you to guide you through the decision-making process that will be most aligned with you. And basically showing courage and tenacity, especially in times of duress, where you guide your actions and decisions based on core values, and rate from 1 to 10 how likely are you to compromise on your core values in making business decisions. So here I want you to focus on this specific question, where how likely are you to compromise your core values in business decisions? Because business decisions in many cases are very, very challenging. They demand a lot, and a lot depends on them in many cases. So there we have a potential weak point where we compromise. So how likely are you to compromise on your core values in making business decisions? Rate from 1 till 10 in point 17. Point 18 is about being committed to telling the truth and transmitting transparency of your thoughts, feelings, and actions. So transparency and truth go hand in hand with your capacity to handle the feeling of being vulnerable. As our skill in communicating our truth with transparency is heavily dependent on our self-regulation, our emotional self-regulation, our capacity to have empathy and overall emotional intelligence. So here, rate your capacity to feel comfortable with emotions that make you feel vulnerable from 1 till 10. 19 is about you not misinterpreting yourself for personal gain. So integrity, honesty, vulnerability, and courage, a strong combination of personal traits that show character and build trust. And this is all about being deeply aligned with having a balanced self-worth. So here, answer how comfortable are you with your strengths, with your weaknesses, and your growth zones to show up and take action as you are without wearing an idealized masked version of yourself, without portraying that idealized version of yourself and showing up as you are. Rate that capacity from 1 till 10. Statement 20 is about I follow through on what I say I will do, and I'm steady and consistent. A big one, can be a challenge for many. And this is connected to knowing your resources and being honest with your capacity to take on new life challenges and opportunities. So it's having the capacity to say no and declining the offer, even if you think it's an unmissable opportunity, even though you don't have any energy to drive to fulfill what is offered or requested, as well as having the need to focus through, having the needed focus to follow through on commitments instead of constantly jumping from new to exciting ideas and opportunities. And this does also mean having the integrity to admit that you took too much onto yourself and let go of the things that aren't actually aligned with where you're going and were taking up under pressure and under wrong decision-making process. So here, rate how well have you developed your capacity to say yes to things that work for you and no to things that are misaligned with where you are going from 1 till 10. Point 21 is about knowing your calling and what do you do best. So here, the topic of knowing your calling can be challenging for many. And one of the things that can help us to knowing your calling, right, is knowing your personality, knowing your strengths, what kind of experiences did you have in life, what did you manage to do throughout life, as well as what do people come to you for, and what you are naturally drawn to. So there are many components that need attention to figure this one out. So how well do you know your calling and have developed the capacity to knowing it from 1 till 10? 22 is about knowing your purpose and mission in life. So here, knowing your mission is one of the hardest answers to discover in life. And it takes many, many years for many, sometimes decades for a person to discover what is the actual mission that they're on and what are they pursuing. And this is due to the fact that our developed personalities unconsciously have their own ideas of what do we need and how to get it. And without putting in the work to discover and decondition yourself from the old patterns and belief systems that are no longer dedicated to getting what you need, they became maladaptive and do not serve a purpose anymore. Without doing that work, is just impossible. So rate how well have you worked on discovering and deconditioning yourself from the patterns and belief systems that are no longer serving you and are holding you back from discovering your life's purpose. Rate from 1 till 10. Point 23 is about having a formulated story. So why do you do what you do? And here is that your personal story is not only serving you as a driving force for your personal journey of self-actualization and self-discovery and basically driving you forward in life to do what you desire to do. It is also driving your business, driving the business vision, the mission, the culture, and many other aspects of the business as well. It helps others to be more aligned with you and want to share your journey. So rate from 1 till 10, how well is your personal story formulated? So now here we can take a short pause if you need to, and I offer you to go through the questions again as a possibility to reflect on them on a deeper level. And in the following part, we will look at emotional intelligence and behavioral growth possibilities and potential. So if you feel that at this point of time, you've done a lot of reflection and there's a lot on your mind, take a pause, have a walk, do a little stretch, and come back to listening in like 3 to 5 minutes. Take a break, put a timer to remember to come back and follow through and continue. A rest in this point will be highly valuable because we're already focusing for half an hour, and then having that refreshment, a recalibration where you took a little physical movement can do a really neat switch in your brain to help you refresh your focus capacity. So taking a small walk, getting a drink, going and doing something active, and then coming back in 3 to 5 minutes can do a lot of good. Now let's continue to discover what else do we have in terms of growth potential. Now, in the field of emotional intelligence growth potential, we are looking at self-regulation and relationships. And we will start with self-management and emotional maturity. So point 24 is about I am skilled in managing my emotional reactions through working with my perception. So this is really tightly connected to our capacity to catch our automatic thoughts due to the fact that our emotional reactions are a consequence of our perception. Being unconscious or conscious, it doesn't matter. We're still perceiving. We're still filtering what is going on autopilot as the first reaction. We will dive deeper into that in the next episode. We will talk about the neurobiology of stress and perception. It will be there. But here, rate your capacity to direct your perception. So manage your perception to influence and regulate your emotional reactions. How skilled are you at it from 1 till 10? Point 25 is I display thoughtful, emotional, and behavioral responses rather than being reactive and acting impulsively. So this is your developed capacity and skill to have regulation of your impulsivity, which is developed in the neocortex that plans actions and directs them into the zone of your mind that is responsible for executing. And if you do not develop the capacity to take a pause when you are mentally processing what is going on around you, you will be incapable of taking control of these impulses. So here, rate your skill at controlling your emotional and behavioral responses through like the skill of controlling, of taking that pause before emotionally reacting and responding to the situation. So that's 25. 26 is I'm flexible, a clear thinking, and handling change in productive ways. Self-explanatory, so rate your capacity from 1 till 10, having flexibility, clear thinking, and being capable to handle change in productive ways. Point 27, it is I'm capable of making wise decisions, even when it is not possible to have all the information or total picture, or when the information is ambiguous, negative, or personally troubling. Once again, big point of reflecting on our self-regulation and capacity to regulate our emotions and reactions. So making wise decisions with limited information can be a big challenge, and is an especially important skill for entrepreneurs because there are a lot of decisions to be made. A lot of things that go on can be perceived personally, can be perceived negatively, and it's all about the stories that you attach to the situation. So having the capacity to navigate the stories that you're telling yourself, catching them and rewriting them in the moment to perceive what is going on more rationally and more thought through is a skill that is demanded and is needed for entrepreneurs. So rate your capacity of being capable of making wise decisions from 1 till 10. Point 28 is I stay open and receptive when things do not go as expected. So having an open mind, having the capacity to perceive what is going on beyond the stories you tell yourself. Rate your capacity to stay open and receptive from 1 till 10. 29. I maintain my equilibrium under pressure and helping to keep others stay calm in a crisis. As well, regulation of emotion, and then having the soft skills needed to support others in emotional distress, in a crisis, through own personal calmness, leading the calm environment in the room. So rate your capacity of doing that from 1 till 10. 30 is I encourage honest debate while also being willing to end the discussion and move on. So this is a skill of facilitation where you create a space within your team and with your partners, colleagues, and within the relationships in your life to have an honest, open dialogue about how things are going, what needs improvement, what can be done, creating a space for feedback, for communication, for debate, and at the same time having the courage to end a discussion when you've made a decision on that topic, and then you end it and move on and talk about other things that are important in the moment. So it's the skill of facilitation, and rate your capacity from 1 till 10. How capable do you believe you are at it? 31 is I'm conscious about my impact on other people. So it's about being aware of your personality tendencies, of your behavioral patterns, of your speaking habits, about your tone, about your delivery, about the words you use. So having awareness that every single thing that you do in terms of your mimicry, about your actions, about your behavior, about your posture, about your tone, all of that impacts people around you. So it's being conscious about how and what you do and how that impacts others. Rate your capacity from 1 till 10. Then we have the skill of responding to feedback in meaningful ways. 32 is about you seeking feedback from multiple sources, intentionally including people who may have something negative to say. So it's being open to quote unquote negative feedback, to hear things that you wouldn't naturally hear from other people, to broaden your perception of what is actually going on. Rate your capacity to seek feedback from 1 till 10. 33 is I am equally receptive to positive and negative feedback. differentiating useful feedback from someone's biased opinion. So that goes hand in hand with the previous point of seeking multiple sources, including natives. And here it's about understanding that anything that the other person shares is about their life experiences, their expectations, their standards, their values, and everything that's got to do with their life. So all the feedback that they will be providing is their own personal opinion. But what you can do with that opinion and reflection of what is going on, because reflecting is like a mirror. Imagine that someone else's perception and feedback is like a mirror to how they are capable of perceiving what are you basically doing. And differentiating useful feedback from someone's biased opinion is about catching the in-between hints of the feedback so that you are aware that there are things that are subjective and, is someone's personal experience. And then there is really useful feedback that is supporting you to look at the things that you have potentially missed in your day-to-day life, because every single one of us has a personality tendency to focus on certain things that is our strength. And then what we need in our team is to build a team of different people from us, because they will have the capacity to pinpoint and mirror and show us the things that we might not have noticed without them. So your capacity to differentiate between useful and biased, rate your capacity from 1 to 10. Now, 34 is you responding to feedback with willingness to understand the information and take action when needed. So it is about the core idea where we spoke about before, having the capacity to catch your projections and then understanding that, okay, this is what I'm perceiving, and then taking your perception and calibrating it against reality, meaning asking questions to clarify, is what you've understood really what is going on? So it's your capacity to mirror to the other person what you've heard, so that they have the capacity to correct your perception of what they actually told. So within getting feedback, it is important to remember that when we communicate to the other person certain meanings and ideas, it is our responsibility to deliver the message in a way that others understand. But this is only possible if you understand and are consciously aware and take responsibility. In most cases, people, perceive that you just must understand the same way that they do. So they do not do their due diligence. They do not do what is needed to deliver their message in a way that is understandable for the other person. So whenever you're receiving feedback, take it onto yourself to build clarifying situations where basically you take in what was said, you reflect it back, and then calibrate it against what they add on top of your reflection. So rate your capacity to have the willingness to understand the information that others are giving you. Point 35 is about being open to discussion of your shortcomings and to understand and to undergo coaching. So it's being coachable, and it's being capable of being vulnerable. So rate your capacity to be vulnerable and to be coached, meaning also an important thing to define what is coaching, right? Coaching is a process where the other person is reflecting back to you what they see and what they hear based on your feedback, and then through dialogue direct you to look at things that you potentially have missed within your spectrum of perception. That is why coaching is especially powerful for leaders, because in many cases it's really hard to see what is natural for you, and you live with it day by day, and you just don't notice that. And within the coaching process, the questions that the coach or facilitator of this engagement asks helps you to look at things that you might have missed on your own. And being open to discuss the shortcomings is about that. Us not being aware, not noticing of the things that aren't working or that are in our blind space. Now we move on to relationships, and basically it's evaluating how happy you are in the current state of your relationships. And basically it's rating how happy you are at the state of the relationship with your work partners, with your colleagues, employees, romantic relationships, and parents. Rate that from 1 till 10 in each one. And this leads us into talking about behavioral growth potential. So here, as we said before, behavioral growth potential is about taking responsibility for your actions. We've partially touched on that already, but here we'll go deeper. So point 41 is about staying committed to working on improving yourself by leveraging but not overusing your strengths. This means is that understanding your tendencies, your personality, your inborn potential, all the spectrum where you can discover certain strengths that you have developed throughout life, and then basically focusing on, but not too much, on building your life and environment around those strengths, because they are the most natural thing that comes to you. So staying committed to focusing on that as a priority of your time. How well are you at that? How well do you prioritize that in your life from 1 till 10? Point 42 is about staying committed to developing your weaker areas and compensating for any real limitations by utilizing the talents of other people. That's an interesting one, because here it is all about the idea that we do have weak zones in our life that are just not our strength, and we have to be vulnerable enough to admit that we cannot be strong at every single point. And even some points, they are creating real limitations for our progress to move forward. And we try, instead of building everything around our strengths and compensating our growth zones with utilizing the talents of other people, we try to do everything ourselves. And in many cases, and especially in entrepreneurship, it is super important to know what you're good at and what you're weak at, and build a team that complements your talents with their own. So rate your capacity to basically develop your weaker areas to an extent and compensate your real limitations by utilizing the talents of other people, how you are good at that, from 1 till 10. So 43 is I'm actively working on overcoming my errors in judgment based on habitual thinking in complex and unfamiliar situations. So actively working on overcoming errors in judgment is about looking at situations in life that are not working, that are systematically creating, we can call it negative results, where you feel stressed, you feel triggered, you feel anger, you feel frustration, things are not working out. So identifying these things and actively working on overcoming the errors in judgment and habitual thinking in those situations. So how well are you doing work in that domain? Are you putting in your attention there? Rate your focus points in this place from 1 till 10. 1 being I do not touch it at all, and 10 is I'm actively developing and focusing on this area as well. Point number 44. I'm actively working on my systems of specific unhelpful thinking styles that lead to undesirable outcomes over and over again. So it's taking action to identify unhelpful thinking styles and transforming them to create, this idea of positive mindset is partially connected to it, but we shouldn't connect to the idea that it's just about the positive mindset. It's about training and developing a mindset that will help you move and progress towards the goals that you have. So this is about this idea, actively working on developing the mindset that will work for you to achieve your goals. So point number 45, I'm actively working on transforming my maladaptive belief systems to form new adaptive belief systems, tightly connected. This is a field that is deeply connected as well to psychotherapeutic work, and in cognitive behavioral therapy, it's all about this process that our thoughts are triggering emotions and behaviors, and our maladaptive belief systems of thinking, they are the lead cause of our things that go wrong in life. So actively working on transforming your maladaptive belief systems, rate your activity from 1 till 10, 1 being not active at all, and 10 actively working on it day to day. Point 46, I take full responsibility for creating and implementing my development plan. So here it is about being committed and devoting dedicated priority time to creating and implementing a developmental plan, so leading your life through the vision that you have developed. Highly important. And how much are you doing that? Rate it from 1 to 10. And we're getting really close to the end. So here are the final questions, the final statements. Point 47. I continuously reflect on my experience in order to understand myself and to make self-improvements. And knowing when I need to get help from others and being willing to do so. So basically is the commitment to getting help, to understanding where you have limitations, where the experiences are not working, and seeking qualified support to move you through this process quicker. So I would look at the idea of coaching, trainings, consultants, even psychologists in many cases, when we are not talking about mental illnesses. All of that, all of these professions are about serving as a catalyst for your growth. It is not about necessarily doing something that you wouldn't have been able to do by yourself. It's not about that. It is about getting the support that will move you towards your goal much, much more productively. So basically, it is rate your capacity of reflection on your experiences and getting help where needed. Are you getting help or you're not getting help? Rate from 1 till 10. So 48 is I'm listening to and checking with others before forming final judgments and taking action. So it's being receptive to feedback in the moment actively. It's not just knowing that you need to do that, but actually having a practice within communication to do that. And are you doing that? Rated from 1 to 10. 1 not doing, 10 doing. Constantly. Then we have 49. I invest enough time experiencing the world and doing exciting things. So are you actually living? Are you allowing yourself to create the space and time to actually enjoy life the way that you deserve to enjoy it? Are you actually investing into building experiences throughout your life? Are you doing that or are you not? From 1 till 10. And how well? Point 50. is I engage in activities that channel my creative potential. So are you doing that or not? Right? Are you allowing yourself to be creative and utilize what your strengths are? Or are you putting yourself only into a box where you need to do things and do not give and create space for you to actually use your talents and your potential to gain and do much more in your life and finally feel the satisfaction, the peace, the desire, the success that you actually deserve? Are you doing that or not? From 1 till 10. Point 51. I keep a diary of success, victories, and achievements in my life. It's either you do it from time to time, or you do it constantly. It's a big one. Diaries of success and victories is not only for the purpose of having the space and track record of reflecting on your life and what did you manage. It also serves as a appreciation at witnessing in the moment when something is happening, and you're recording that down, be it on paper or you're writing it down on your tablet, however you're doing that. But keeping track is practicing awareness, practicing being in the present moment when something good is happening and there is a success, a victory, an achievement, and fixating that in your memory through writing, because that is a behavioral thing. Writing is especially powerful because it triggers several systems of awareness: the physical touch, the eyesight, and the processing of thinking and recording that with your mind, where you're spelling out the thing that you have lived through. These multiple levels of awareness and fixation enable your system to really let that sink in, to process that. And then also, as a bonus, you can always come back and from time to time remind yourself of the things that you have managed to do. It's especially important for any person that is building something in their life to have a chest of successes that you can come back to and remind yourself, especially in challenging situations that are not going your way, that you have persevered, that you have achieved, that you have managed. And you can take that a level further. And if you're interested in how to keep a diary of successes and what can go into it to increase its efficiency, we can talk that in another episode, and let me know in the comments to the episode if that is something that you also want to know. And the final point, 52, is about investing enough time experiencing the world and doing exciting things. So basically, what I've just noticed is that the point 49 and 52 are alike, and maybe for the better. And I will leave it as that, because I know for a fact that the sheer majority of people on this earth are here to have quality time and enjoying and loving what they do. And it is super important. Are you actually allowing yourself to do that and creating small opportunities to live life and not just be constantly chasing some kind of success and then potentially sometime in life you will experience it? So are you investing time into it? Now, what I ask you to do, answering all of these questions, the final step is that you need to summarize what you have as total points in each of the sections. So how much you have in the cognitive growth potential, and the emotional growth potential, and the behavioral growth potential, and sum them all together. And basically, we have 3 prepositions. If you scored from 1 till 79, then you're most likely highly underestimating yourself. And it is okay. We all can find ourselves in a place of doubt, disbelief, and lack of self-esteem. And in certain stages of our lives, it can happen. And to find yourself in this place indicates that you need proper support and mentoring and discovering what you are about, your strengths, your potential, your value can be the juice that will lift you out of the dip and push you through that adversity. And we can discover that together. If you score between 399 and 180, that's a healthy place to find yourself in. And life is a journey of growth and rediscovery of self, full of transitions and transformations. And with ever-changing times around us, the real balance comes from within, and it provides the flexibility and adaptability needed to navigate and lead through still smooth and rough times. Together we can discover your unique leadership potential, your inner genius, and what it needs by its side to prosper. And of course, if you scored over 400, your level of self-perception of personal growth is very impressive. And the majority of people do not reach this level without real dedication, so big up to you. Dedication is what you surely have. And if you are here and have never worked with such systems as the Enneagram, human design, and haven't touched personality psychology, as well as anything connected to mental health, then you will be able to tap and expand your growth beyond the already impressive results that you have already managed. So this is the real thing about the evaluation, is understanding where you are and where can you direct that further. And no matter how high or how low the potential is for growth, or in other words, how much effort have you already put into your personal development, there is always space for improvement. And I invite you to stick to this podcast, and I'll do my best to help you discover more opportunities, more ideas, and more perspectives on how can you expand on how you perceive and what you perceive, and how to deal with everything, and how to go into the process of self-discovery. And having successfully done this evaluation, I invite you to go into the community space on LinkedIn and share your thoughts. What was inspiring? What was challenging? What was hard to be truthful about? What triggered your emotions on a deep level on reflecting? What do you believe is one of the most challenging spaces to find yourself in? So on LinkedIn, we have an emotionally intelligent entrepreneur community, especially for entrepreneurs and dedicated to entrepreneurs. No one else, no other professions and skill sets will be there. It's exclusively for entrepreneurs. And I want to create this space for us to connect, to build contact, to support each other, and to have this space where we can share our thoughts, share our successes, support each other, rise challenges, and help each other move through them, and many more ideas that I want to fulfill through the community space that I've created just for you. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. What was challenging? What was great? What inspiration did it drive? And yeah, share your thoughts. I'm really looking forward to hearing them. Thank you for being with me. This was Emotionally Intelligent Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Alen Leit, and see you in the next episode.